So what I'm going to be doing is throwing an exhaust together real quick. And what I did was just cut the flange off of the original exhaust. So that way I don't have to make sure all the holes are lined up correctly. You know, I can just cut this off and I'll smooth it out. And I've got a piece of tubing that I've bent up. And we're going to see if we can make an exhaust out of it. So here we go. Alright, so I got this mocked up. Obviously it's going to look a lot better when I get done with it. I'm still debating on if I'm going to cut this down or not, have it a little bit shorter. Still working on whether or not I'm going to have mufflers, stuff like that, but we're going to keep it rolling. I've got to bend another piece of tube and try and match it up to this. I think I've got it pretty much figured out, but I'll finish welding this one, clean it up, and put it back on. Alright, so I got the headers made, got the engines kind of mocked up. They're not tightened down or anything. Before I start working on getting the torque converters put on and all that, I've got to get my shock situation figured out. I think my best way to do this is to cut off the existing shock mounts and just move them, put a plate in right here, weld that in. That way I've got a direct line from here to the swing arm, and I can just bolt the shock in and be good to go. What I'm gonna do now is I've got the paint stripped down across here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to relocate the shock mounts. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna run a piece of 2" by 1/4" flat bar across the back here. That way I can put the upper shock mounts right here, and then the lower ones I'll just weld directly to the swing arm. And we'll keep it rolling. Alright, so now that I got the shocks tacked in, the mounts are all tacked in, what I'm going to do is fully weld them in, put the tires back on, and let it sit on its own weight. We'll see how it holds up. Yeah, good look. Alright, so these spindle bolts, there's a couple things wrong with the way these are set up for the new wheels and tires that I'm going to be using. I've got 5/8 hubs to run golf cart wheels and tires. These are a weird metric size, the threads are all messed up, and I'll be totally honest with you, I don't know where the nuts are for them. So what I'm going to do is cut this off right here, smooth it out, get this all prepped and ready, and I'm gonna actually weld on these. These are 5/8 bolts. They're grade 8, and they've got just your normal thread on them, so I can get nuts for them just about anywhere. And that way, I'll have a longer, stronger bolt. Won't have to worry about finding a nut if it happens to come off, and it'll fit perfectly inside the bearing. So let's get this cut off, get it prepped, and we'll get it mounted. Alright, so I got the face of the spindle all cleaned up, and I went ahead and took that grade 8 bolt, and I took all that gold finish off the top of it. I'm not entirely sure what that is called, and I really don't care because it ain't on there no more. But what I'm gonna do is just put that right about in the same spot the old one was in, just get it centered up as best I can. I flattened out the top of it too, from where you have those little ridges. Yeah, it looks like they're still on there, but that's just, I'm not entirely sure what's going on there because it's smooth. But smooth all the way out, take that plating off, get it centered up as best we can, tack it, and then we'll weld it on. I'll tell you what, I don't know how I made it this long without welding magnets, because unless you've got 3 hands, these things will save you every time. Alright, that's one down. We'll knock the other one out real quick. Chances are you're gonna have to make your own spacers. Now, I lucked up, and you might be able to do the same thing. What I did was, I got all this stuff at the same place, Tractor Supply. Picked up one of these bolts. This is a 5/8 diameter bolt. I walked over to where they have the steel tubing, and I found a section that I thought would fit. It worked out pretty good. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be like this everywhere, but this is just how I happen to look up. So now I'm gonna cut 1 3/4 inch sections of this to make the proper spacing for my spindles, put them on, we're good to go. Alrighty, let's see, what all we do today? Oh yeah, so we got the new spindle bolts put on with the new spacers, got the big meaty front tires on now, got the headers done for the engines, got the shocks installed. I will be upgrading the shocks, and I know I mentioned before that I've got some 25-inch ATV wheels and tires to go on this thing. However, I'm only going to be mounting them on the back. As far as the front goes, I wanted to do them all the way around, but it's just going to be too much work to get them to fit correctly, and to me it's not worth it. So if this was 4-wheel drive, that'd be one thing, but it's not. So it's a go-kart. So we got the tires put on, spacers, got the headers done, got the shocks mounted. I'm still waiting on just a few more parts so we can slap this thing back together. Also going to be repainting the entire thing once my wife decides what color she wants. But if you haven't already, like and subscribe. You can check us out on Facebook at Mini Bike America. You can also buy a t-shirt, hat, or hoodie from Stover Customs. And until next time, y'all get up, get out there, and get after it.